All right, everyone. So I went ahead and copied or redrew the shape that they demonstrate on the top right corner of the 6th page of your perspective packet, which is shapes in perspective. So just throwing a few wrenches in the works, trying to kind of work up, the level of difficulty so you can continue to improve drawing in perspective. So we have a similar situation from the last worksheet where every shape has its own vanishing point. So if this was the whole sheet, right, you'd have a couple other shapes and a U hanging out. Just remember that every shape has its own vanishing point, and that's the one that you should be using for each shape. So we're going to be using this one, shape C, vanishing point C. And we're just going to work down our normal steps. Step number 1, as always, is going to be to connect the corners of our shapes to the vanishing point. And one question I did see, I don't know if it was from this class or another, it's just a comment that I saw, is how do you know which corners to connect to the vanishing point? And the answer is you kind of get a feel for it eventually, but a good rule is if you're connecting a corner to the vanishing point and the line goes through the shape, so like this is the shape that we have, if the line is passing through or behind the shape, you probably don't need it. There are a few situations where you do, but if you have a vanishing point that's kind of far away, right, it's not one of the closer corners, if you have a corner that's furthest away from the vanishing point, so like this guy over here, we're not going to connect this one, because if we were to connect through the vanishing point, you'd be essentially drawing behind this shape, and that's not something we're going to see for the illusion that we're trying to create. So there you go. Otherwise, so if you have, here we'll start from the bottom over here. So we have a bunch of corners here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, maybe 9, who knows. So we have a lot of lines to draw, so I'm going to get to it. So again, just lining up our ruler, drawing those orthogonal lines. Remember, orthogonal lines are diagonal lines that go to the vanishing point. We're going to have a bunch of them. You can draw these lines pretty lightly. I'm overdoing it a little bit just because I want you to be able to see what I'm drawing. And you can't forget not only the protruding corners, so corners that stick out, but also the corners that are kind of the interior corners. You can't forget them either. Going to become very pivotal when we start drawing stairs. So this will be good practice for that. And then we got one more over here. All right, so we were thinking about this one, but ever so slightly, if you can see, like when you line up with this far corner, it's very slim and it's hard to see, but that line would actually be drawn over or behind the shape. So we're not going to draw it. We're going to leave it alone for now. Basically, what happens is whenever you have lines, or shapes rather, that are very close to the horizon line, or they're very close to a vertical line placed right on the vanishing point, things start to get a little weird, right? They're very hard to see. You can see kind of the bottom step on all these shapes. This one's nice and large. This is getting slimmer. This is super slim, right? So you're going to have to do some delicate work when you get in there. But the closer something gets to this vertical axis right over the vanishing point, it gets a little strange. And that's the best way I can explain it. And you'll figure that out as you get more experience drawing in perspective. It's just something that you learn. But I digress. We'll keep moving. So we're going to do kind of the normal thing just to show you my thinking. I don't necessarily draw this out every time, but it is kind of helpful when you're starting out. So I'm looking at what lines I'm going to have to draw. And it looks like it's going to be this guy. Like all of these lines, these little steps are what I'm going to have to draw. So I'm going to just remind myself. I'm going to redraw it, just so I don't miss anything. and then that's going off the paper. But that's going to be kind of the series of lines that I'm going to be drawing. Switching from horizontal to vertical, horizontal, vertical, horizontal, vertical. And this is just repetition at this point, right? It's the same thing, just more lines. Okay. So step 1 is done, connecting all the corners to the vanishing point. Now we have to use vertical and horizontal lines to create the edges of the shape. So we can start up here with our top guy. Same kind of way as always. We're going to line up our ruler. Make sure that it's super straight. My camera's kind of crooked, so it might look weird to you. Then we're just going to move straight down. I'm not going to go super far. Probably going to go about there. Double check our ruler, make sure everything is good and totally horizontal. Then I'm just going to draw from the outside orthogonal line to the next orthogonal line. So I'm just going from line to line, just like that. And then we're going to change positions, go for the next one. So we're doing these in order. I just did this one. Now I'm going to do this one. That's kind of important, going in order. So again, lining up with our previous line, scooting it over until I see that connection that we just made, right? So we're going to line that up, put a vertical line there. There you go. Next, lining up our horizontal line. So we're doing this guy. Horizontal. Bringing it straight down until it crosses or intersects with the line we just drew, that vertical line. And we're just going to go from one orthogonal line to the other, just like that. Take a look at it. It looks good. The illusion is holding up, right? At least in this area. So now we got another step to make. So we're going to line up our ruler vertically with our step. And we're going to slide it over to the intersection of the orthogonal line and the line that we just did. I'm going to do this guy left-handed. Here we go. Boom. A lot of you, we're just doing a demo here of the next page in the packet. So we got 4 done. 1, 2, 3, 4. Moving on, the 5th one, this long guy, it's horizontal. So again, lining up the ruler, bringing it straight down until it intersects with that orthogonal line and the vertical line that we just drew. We're just going from orthogonal to orthogonal, straight across. Ta-da, still looking good. Now we got a vertical line, so we're going to line up our ruler vertically and slide it over until it meets that intersection again. Going left-handed once more. I'm like a switch hitter, but with a pencil. Sorry. Last but not least, we got one final horizontal line, which is this guy down here. We're gonna go ahead and work on that. We know it's horizontal, so we're gonna line up our ruler horizontal, find the line that we're working with, slide it down towards the vanishing point until it crosses with that other vertical line we just made. And we're going to draw it straight across. Okay, so see, just to double check and look at everything. This edge of the shape, which was given to us, matches this line that we drew over here, right? So if it's vertical over here, it's vertical over here. If it's horizontal in the front, it's horizontal in the back, right? And we're just double checking that visually to make sure everything's good. And if you followed those instructions, if you followed that procedure, it should look three-dimensional, right? When you look at it, what am I trying to say? The illusion should hold up, all right? And the way to kind of make sure that illusion sticks is to start erasing things that we don't need. So starting at the vanishing point, we're going to start erasing orthogonal lines, starting in the back, and then erasing, but don't erase anything that's part of the shape. Get these two, carefully erasing. Again, we don't want to erase any part of the shape or what is now part of the shape, right? We just want to erase kind of those construction lines, the orthogonal lines that we needed to create this illusion. But now they're just kind of getting in the way, so we're going to get rid of them. All right, I got a little corner, so I'm going to draw that back in. And that's shape C. That's kind of how that looks. So again, just taking final stock, looking at it, kind of going over, inspecting it, making sure that it looks like it's a three-dimensional shape and it's not, nothing's like askew again. So yeah, that's shape C. That is the example that's on your shapes page. What kind of questions do we have about shape C or just the shapes page?